welcome. I'm Jen Frost with Faith in Fabric, and I'm excited to welcome you to our next Free Motion Friday. Now last year we practiced a lot of our beginner skills, and this year we're kind of ticking it up a notch. So this week we're going to be working on a design that's really kind of two designs in one. But don't worry, I know you can do this. Let's get started. The inspiration for today's design, called Curly Stars, comes from 1 Corinthians 15:41. The sun has one kind of splendor, the moon's another, and the stars another, and each star differs from star in splendor. Now I love that line because each of us are stars. Each of us are completely unique from one another, and we were purposely created to be that way. You know, some of us look different and we act different and we have different hobbies and we like different kinds of people and we live in different kinds of places. We prefer different kinds of vacations. Every one of us are so unique. You know, even if you think of your closest friend or closest family member, there's a lot of similarities you have, but you're still completely different. And you're no less in splendor than the other person. And I think that's such a great reminder that we are all, you know, honestly, it's said a lot, but we are all God's children and we are all stars, and we all need to each let our own beautiful splendor shine. So let's talk about a couple tips on making this design. Now this design is, again, 2-in-1, so there's some really important things I want to share with you. First, you always want to make the points of your star very sharp. Second, a star has 5 lines. You want to think of this symmetry as you sew. Third, always try to start in the same corner of the star, as it will help you with muscle memory. Now, speaking of muscle memory, since this is a little bit more of an advanced design, I thought we can head over to the cutting table and we're going to practice a little bit with our line designer. We haven't pulled that out in a while, and I think this is a really great design for us to pull that toy back out and give it some practice. Let's head over. So let's give this a go. So my needle is down and I'm going to start with that very first curl. So I'm going to come up, give it a little twist, and I'm going to stop right here. So now I'm going to make my first line of the star. So you think about a star, they come across and then they have the top point. And then you want to stop when you're parallel with this line, because again, if you think stars have 5 lines, and there's the one line that goes this way, and then there's the line that comes down, and again, you're going to stop. Again, think about this line as if it were a full straight line. Back up. Stop again when you become parallel with this line. Back up, stop once you're parallel with that line, and then you're going to come back over, and then you'll have your star. And then you're just going to continue a couple little swirls. You know, you can kind of give them some points. I like this design because it reminds me of like a windy, starry night. Like you kind of have that wind movement. You kind of move the wind around, and then you can start your next star. So you'll go over. Okay, muscle memory. Try to do the same each time. Up, down. Again, keeping all 5 of those points straight. Back through, and then you can just continue your little swirls. I'm going a little less swirly on this because obviously we mentioned the marker doesn't quite slide around as evenly as my machine does. But you can kind of get a feel for how that looks here. So you'll see if I move this out of the way now, you'll have some stars and you've got some swirly curlies going around. Now the nice thing about this design is it's a good space filler. You know, you can kind of tuck the curls into awkward spaces. If you've got like a design you're trying to work around, it also has a lot of movement because you've got the comparison, juxtaposition of the sharp lines of the stars with the soft curly curves of the wind. So let's hold it over to the machine and give it a try. Let's do a quick supply check. I've got my slow, steady glider mat on here to eliminate any friction. I've got my hopper foot, and I've got some white silky thread in here. Now I have my little For the Birds quilt pattern here. I love this one. I made this a long time ago, and I did do some embroidery on it, but you'll see I did some very basic outline stitching around everything, a little bit of blanket stitching, just because I was too nervous and I wasn't sure what to put in the background. But you know, we've been building up our work, we've been building up our skills, and I think now it's time to come back and start filling some of these skies. So I have my little birds here, and I'm going to be using that night sky theme in the background here. Get that old pin out of the way, and we're going to get started.
Now, I'm glad to have done this with you guys on our line designer because this is a final quilt. I'm going to be doing white on white, but we're going to have a lot of opportunity at the end to come back and see how it turned out, because you'll see it's a blue on the background. So I'm just going to do a couple little quick stitches here. I'll pop it in fast motion since we already went through all the steps over on the line designer. And then at the end, we'll take a lot of time to review how it looks on the back. So we'll get quickly started here. Pull up our bobbin thread. That way we can tie it off. And I'm going to start first with just a little curly. I'm going to come out of that, and now I'm going to put my first star right here. So again, making those 5 points. The key, again, remember, always think about the star with what is equal to what, where. You know, when you have those 5 lines, otherwise you're going to kind of end up with some wonky stars. And we can always make a pattern called wonky stars. You know, that would be kind of a fun one to do. But I don't think today that's necessarily what our goal is. Okay, and I'm just coming back through and adding a little couple twisties for some wind. I love the movement. Okay, and I'm going to start my next one. Now again, because this is so hard for you guys to see with the white on white, I'm going to speed it up, and then at the end, we'll come back and check it out.
Let's see how it turned out. So on the front, I love it. It's just got that nice texture to it. And look at how much nicer it is with that, if I hold it sideways in the light, with some texture on here, as opposed to these that are just still open. I think it just looks so much prettier. So that was just as hard for you to see as it was for me. If you have any good tips on that, give us a hint below. You know, I was even thinking like, maybe I should sew this from the back, but good learning for all of us. On the back, you could see this a lot better. So I'm gonna bring this nice and close. So you can see we've got our stars with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sharp points on each one. Now when I was making my stars, I varied the shapes and sizes. You'll see I tucked some tiny stars in, I put some bigger stars in here. And again, I didn't want them to all be consistent. We've talked about this in other videos. And as you're growing your skills, like many of us are here, you know, if you don't have that exact precision, if you try to make everything exactly the same, you're going to notice the ones that aren't exactly the same more than if you just allow natural variations. Plus it fits more with our theme of we are all unique and splendid stars, right? So I love the swirls. I really feel like I can just, you know, see these stars out on a starry evening and the breeze is going through the sky. Everything looks really clean. I've got my little birds down here. That's why there's a space here. Everything looks pretty good. I think I did cross over a little bit of star right there. Again, you know, it was hard for me, honestly, on the front to even see white on white. Plus these are very small little blocks that we're working with. You know, they're just little guys, and so trying to squeeze a lot into a small space definitely adds an extra layer of complexity. But we'll be working on filling different fillers in each of these blocks for the next couple days. We'll probably be sewing on the back. Honestly, this is just a practice quilt for me. So we'll be sewing probably on the back. That way we can see it a little bit more in future editions. But thank you for sewing with me today. Remember how splendid you are. Let your light shine, and we'll see you in the next video. Take care.